Hello, thanks for tuning in. I'm reviewing two record shops that I visited on Saturday in Aberdeen. The first one is called, Aberdeen Vinyl Records on Union Street. So I didn't spend too long in this one. I have actually been in this shop before and I've never bought anything from it, but it's not a bad shop. The staff are fairly friendly. There's music being played, but not too, reasonable level. And the prices aren't too bad. However, I didn't buy anything on this occasion simply because although I found a few I was interested in, the condition wasn't that great. So I didn't buy anything there, but there is one amusing thing to report to you. There was a girl serving behind the counter, probably mid-20s, and I went to have a look at some records, started rifling through them. There was music playing, and the record suddenly reached the end of the groove on the side that was being played, and obviously it wasn't auto return. Of course not. It's a Riga 1, I think it is, and it just kept going and going and going. Now the system in that shop is in a place where actually one can get to it. So I simply went to the record player and I returned the tone arm to the start, secured it, and turned off the record player. I then went back to my browsing. About 2 minutes later, that girl who was serving appeared, and I said to her, hope you don't mind, I just turned the record player off for you. She said, oh no, that's fine, thanks. So she changed the record, and she said, excuse me, how do you turn the record player on? I thought, oh, what a strange question. So I said, oh, there's a switch underneath the plinth. And I showed her where it was. She says, oh, I didn't know that was there. Yeah. And I said to her, so you change records and you've just been letting the turntable spin while you change records? She said, yeah. I said, okay, fair enough. But yeah, there is actually an on-off button here. That's probably a better way to do it. So I don't know. Why she didn't know where the on-off switch was. But anyway, never mind. So I moved on from there and I went to another shop which I visited some time ago, but because it was a Monday, most of the record shops in Aberdeen are closed on a Monday and this one was closed. It's called Maidinvinyl, and I was glad this time it was open Saturday. So I went in and there were two people stood in the doorway. There was a woman about probably mid-50s age and there was a younger guy. They were talking about something. I went straight in, went straight through them, started browsing immediately, went to the back of the shop where I found the bargain section. I always tend to start off in the bargain section just to see what's there very quickly. Maybe I can sort of pick out a few. It's always good if you go into a shop and if you can pick out some that you're going to buy. And sure enough, within about 10 minutes I found half a dozen which I would have bought for 150. There was a Carpenter's record. There was another record with some 60s hits on it, with one or two of my favorites from the 60s, like the Do Run Run and the Shangri-Las, Leader of the Pack, that kind of thing. And there were one or two other records. There was a Dr. Zhivago soundtrack. I wouldn't mind having that on the MGM record. But I mean, obviously nothing special for 150 a piece, but they were in good condition as well. So I picked out half a dozen. However, while I was looking through the bargain section, the music was turned on, and it was probably Pink Floyd at their most avant-garde, experimental and psychedelic. It was the kind of music that shouldn't really be played in a record shop when people are browsing. And I just could not browse those records and listen to that music at the same time, certainly at the kind of volume level she had it turned up to, which was really loud. Now they'd been discussing, I kind of overheard before they turned the music on, they'd been discussing Pink Floyd. Fair enough, it's good to talk about music in a record shop. And I'd overheard the lady who I believe owns the shop say that, oh, she's not so Dark Side of the Moon, it's not really one of her, she doesn't really think it's not for her so much. And she recommended to him, this younger man who was in his early 20s, that a good one to go for is The Wall, because it's a double album. which made me smile because I thought, well, um, yeah, okay. So The Wall's a better album than Dark Side of the Moon because it's a double and not a single. Okay, fair enough. Enough said. Uh, but in the meantime, this music, I was fighting with the music and trying to browse. Now, somebody previously on a video, when I said, oh, this has happened to me before, owners turning the music up is difficult. And somebody said to me, why don't you just go and ask them to turn it down? Well, I decided to take that advice. I was the only customer in the shop. And I went to the counter. I said, oh, excuse me, could you possibly turn the sound down a little bit? Because I'm having trouble listening to this very challenging music and browsing at the same time. It's kind of distracting. Now, you could have cut the air with a knife. She went absolutely stone. She went silent. She kind of looked a bit uncomfortable, put her hand to the amplifier, touched the rotary volume control, didn't move it at all, didn't change it at all. And the young man who was there, he said, oh yeah, we were just talking about Pink Floyd and how they've changed over the years, etc. And I said, yeah, that's true. I said, I tend to be somebody who prefers Pink Floyd from Metal onwards. You know, you've got Metal, then you've got Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, The Wall. I mean, really from Animals back, I'm not really very much interested in Pink Floyd, but I mean, that's besides the point. The kind of music that she was playing, in my opinion, was completely inappropriate, particularly at that volume level. And when I asked her to turn it down, she just ignored me, didn't do anything at all. Eventually, as we were standing there, she took it off and put on another record, although left it on a high volume level. And I mean, it was better than what was being played. But I could see that as a point of principle, she was not prepared to turn the sound down for a customer who made that request. So, okay, I'm just reporting the fact to you. Now, I went back to browse. I'd finished with the budgets. I moved on to the rest of the stock, started going through them. Everything's in plastic covers, and everything is actually sealed with sellotape, which surprised me a bit, because when I was going through the £5 section. I found a record there which I would have bought. I would have paid £10 for it, actually, in good condition. It was a B.A. Robertson LP, and I would like to have had it. And I thought, well, I've got to check the condition. So I peeled the sellotape off very carefully, took the record out, checked the condition. It was good on one side, but on the other side, there were two very obvious marks, which I knew would be a problem. Nope, okay, so I put it back in, sealed it back up, and put it back. About a minute later, the owner, this lady, appears, and she said to me, could you not take records out of their sleeves? We don't allow that. I said, oh, really? I said, okay. I said, I'll bear that in mind for the future. And then she went away, and I thought, well, if I can't check the condition, how can I buy any records? What does she expect that people are going to do? That they're just going to buy records without checking the condition? Or does she think that I'm going to pick out all the records I'm interested in, come to the counter, and she's going to open them one at a time, and I'm either going to have to check the condition in front of her, or she's going to do it for me? No thanks. That's not the way I buy records. And if I can't check the condition there and then while I'm browsing, I'm not interested at all. So what I actually did was I decided not to do any business with that shop that day, or probably ever again. I put the budget records back. I mean, there was nothing there that was sort of too exciting. So I put the budget records back, and I decided to buy nothing at all. And I just simply walked out of the shop, and that was me done with Maidinvinyl. So yeah, negative review. I didn't like the way that I was treated in that shop, and I didn't think that the owner was particularly knowledgeable. I thought she made some silly comments about music, and I don't really think that she should be running that shop. I think it's got some potential, but I think the main thing was that when I requested her to turn the music down, and she obviously refused, that to me said a lot about what she thinks of her customers. It's more important to her that she's in control, and she doesn't want customers, the way she sees it, telling her what to do. I didn't tell her what to do. I made a request. She refused. Okay, I won't be going in that shop again, but obviously I've noticed on Google she has got good reviews. There are people that like the shop. That's fair enough, but that wasn't my experience. It was a bad experience. So yeah, anyway, that's all there is. So yeah, two shops reviewed. Aberdeen Vinyl Records, I think, is a good shop. It's just that I didn't do too well in terms of what I was looking for. But Made in Vinyl, I don't think it's such a good shop. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.